in about 2009, the headlines started to come up about large corporate land deals in Africa, where international companies mostly were acquiring concessions or long-term leases, often leases for up to 99 years, on large areas of land. Sometimes we're talking about hundreds of thousands of hectares.
6-7 years ago, land deals, big investment land acquisitions in Africa started to make the news. Not only in Africa, in fact, around the world. And this was partly a response to the global food crisis of 2007, 2008. And this was deemed land grabbing.
The reason why this phenomenon is focused on sub-Saharan Africa is that this is a region in which the people who own the land have rights that are not recognized and defended in practice. And that we're on a continent where approximately 10% of the land is titled. Most of our countries have legal frameworks that have a colonial legacy of not recognizing customary rights as actually being property. And that where post-colonial regimes nationalized the land, actually what that did is that centralized control over land rights in national governments.
There's been an attempt to kind of explore this issue, not in terms of the headlines, but in terms of the realities on the ground, exploring the complexity of what's actually been going on.
And while this was frequently presented by governments as being a key route towards securing foreign direct investment, what we've been looking for in Africa ever since the structural adjustment programs of the 1980s, and which hasn't been forthcoming. In fact, what some of the activist groups started to argue is that what we're seeing is a massive process of dispossession. One of the key findings is that in just about all of the cases, there was forced dispossession of people from their land. And I think that one of the things that we've brought to this debate is that land dispossession in these cases doesn't always mean dispossession and displacement, but rather dispossession and sometimes incorporation in new kinds of commercial enterprises. And that's really what makes this so complex, is that in many of our cases, there was deep division within communities between those who wanted a commercial investment and those who resisted it.
Quite a lot of research initially focused on large numbers of hectares, numbers of deals. In practice, many of those deals haven't in fact materialized, and the reality does seem a little bit different to those scaremongering headlines.
Often these deals are being promoted by national development agencies, not ministries of agriculture. A lot of the promises that come with big commercial agricultural projects is that they will create jobs in rural areas, that they will absorb the younger generation who often are not finding a space in the rural economy. And what we found is that they certainly do create jobs, but normally far lower than their projections had been.
But on-the-ground research has revealed that in fact some of those worries about land grabbing have in fact been realized.
Driven not only by the traditional colonial powers in Europe, but also North America, but also now East Asian countries looking for expanding markets.
There are case studies from around the continent, from Nigeria, through Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, where else? Ghana, Malawi, Congo. A lot of very serious work on the ground.
From that emerged a group of people who are saying, we found important case studies. We think something dramatic is going on that the media headlines can't capture. We want to do more in-depth case studies. And in a sense, a return to the kinds of large-scale concession type agriculture that characterized the colonial period. So this was the new colonialism.
Smallholder farmers do not sell their produce to the company, but all the arrangements basically have a lot of loopholes where the company can just leave the out of the smallholder farmers. So the whole narratives of win-win production with these major land deals do not actually yield to those win-win situations, rather lose-win situations.
And so we felt that doing a book like this was plugging a gap in a sense, because it was beyond the big headlines, and neither was it sort of disembodied local studies. It was trying to do what we're starting to call multi-scalar research, which is globally located, locally grounded, but also takes a lot of attention of the national and regional context.